Masters playing. Is the sound? Is that working? No sound. Fucking hell.
No sound from YouTube.
Cool graphics.
That should be better.
Double theme clouds your mind. If you walk that road, you'll be left behind, like swaying branches in the air, lost in confusion, filled with despair. Arguments and fallacies taken from the book of lies and deceit. There are those who will never see the gift of logos that was given to me. And I know how water flows, and I know what level shows. You'll be wasting your time, trying to change what's been defined. I know what I know. I know what I know. You don't know what you don't know. Blackpool paradox. You think it's measuring, but it's not. It's optical phenomenon. All you fools think you know what's beyond. I know how water flows, and I know what level shows, and you'll be wasting your time, trying to change what's been defined. I know how water flows, and I know what level shows, and you'll be wasting your time trying to change what's been defined.
Horizon means the line where the sky meets the earth. Yeah, that's the definition I'm going by.
All
And I'm
horizontals are parallel to the
finish,
plane of the
finish.
horizon. And we are live. Welcome, everybody. It's Thursday, Euclid night. And we've come across some, say, geometry, Euclidean. I call them isometric, where you do the plan and the elevation side, and you make the 3D drawings, isometric drawings from them. These are the bits that he uses on the side. He makes the side elevations. That one's golden ratio. But this is Euclidean geometry. All just straight lines and circles. That's what we're doing here tonight. Euclidean, Euclid night. So everything geometric we're looking at. But today we've got a bit of a, I don't know whether you call it a link to reality. Because these drawings here, isometric drawings, are made from like elevation profiles. But if you can see the projected outwards through call it perspective lines, right? It's all used in order to make this these elevations on the sides and the perspective lines that go out. It's all made from elevation profiles and plan to make this. So it's apparent because we're mainly doing with a thing of elevation profiles of the science of the blue marble, not the triggered dude, not this dude, not blue marble. Not that blue marble. The science of the blue marble states that straight line elevation profiles go upwards. Very strange. So we've happened across a video that brings two of the protagonists of an old play that they did, scripted a few years ago. And we have since reclaimed it. We've planted our flag on the bridge. Rakia drove over it, firmly planted the flag there. So we have reclaimed it. But this is, like we were saying, the elevation profiles of the science of blue marble. But these ones came from blue marble. Let me get these ones because this is the progression that we've been doing for quite a few years now. We go from the elevation profile of the Lake Rakia, well, Rakia's causeway, to the elevation profiles, to the welcome to the globe elevation profiles of LIGO. This one with the 4 straight lines has been upgraded, as we saw last night, to a nice little curve. It has been updated. This is only like a Mark 1 version. But what we do is, and what we've been doing, in order to have the curved water, you have to be able to reference it to something. And that normally within geometry is you need it to reference it to a straight line. But seeing as this Lake Rakia is very, very close to Livingston. They're easily comparable. The straight line of LIGO that looks like this, and the blue marble science elevation profile of the Lake Riccier with the impossible 90-foot Imagine hump in the middle. There is only blue marble science. Well, I say only blue marble science. You have got FE Dogma and Stark Hodder, who seems to have gone missing. But he was one of the... nobody knew who he was anyway, so he's probably done enough damage. Very good. That's brilliant. Puts it all in the boxes. Lovely. So, yeah, we're going to be going over a video from Soundly. And Soundly's talking to Jesse. Big Jesse. Jesse Kozlowski. The big surveyor. The big globe surveyor. Because it's Euclid, and it's definitely relatable. Mike, I bet you that'd be nice on the wall. I think that would be a really nice picture. That's artwork. I bet he makes a fair bit of money selling these, doesn't he?
I already sent the link to my wife. I'm like, do you want to order these and put them up? Do you want to put them up in the house? They're beautiful. And
Yeah.
she's into sacred geometry. So
Yeah.
I literally just sent her the link. I said, look at these things. I mean, we could get them framed and they're gorgeous.
Yeah, that's really nice. As a set of them as well. And they're big as well, aren't they? It looks like the picture earlier with him drawing it on the big drawing board.
The biggest ones are like 40 by 30, and they're like, on archival paper for $175. It'll cost more to frame them than it'll cost to buy the prints.
That's not much, that. Like a print at 170. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a print, but yeah.
Mr. L's buying one. They are beautiful, that. And just to remind everybody, there is Euclidean geometry. There is only Euclidean geometry. You can't draw straight lines. I mean, that's obviously Euclidean geometry. That's what derives the geometry, is the straight line, the shortest distance between those 2 points. And that shortest distance between those 2 points makes the radius of the circle. So that makes the circle. Well, what can we say? Euclidean geometry is obviously the link to reality that we can use. And since it's derived through logic, gives us chance to apply our brain power to situations. Use basic concepts. Let me get this set up for you guys. Now, don't ask me how we ended up with this video. You guys see that?
I think not.
What, in Discord?
Yeah, you're good in Discord for me.
Now good. Yes, something didn't work.
And should be able to be seen in YouTube now too. Right, so this is we'll come back to that. About 38 minutes. But I don't know what this video is about, so this is Soundly. He's the the guy that took a picture of bridge and some power cables over at Lake Rakia. I'm pretty sure Rakia's took more pictures than Soundly has, but supposedly Soundly did a 3 or 4, 6 year study of this lake, bridge, power lines. He took a fair few pictures anyway. And this, it says, after show, Chris and Jesse meet again to conclude their discussion on the 8 inches formula. So they're discussing the formula for 8 inches. Right, here we go.
All right, I think we're right on time. That was a pretty good prediction on my part. I predicted 9:30. So here we are. Thanks everybody for joining. I already have a bunch of people in the chat, which is great. We're doing the after show for Chris and Jesse's conversation. I don't know what else to call it. It wasn't really a debate. But Jesse, I definitely have some questions for you. I've actually invited others to join us. If anybody wants to join, Jared, you're in the chat. I see you, John Michelson. If anybody else wants to join, let me know. Contact me on Hangouts. I think they're being attacked personally whenever you say the Earth's not flat.
Yeah, I agree. But the problem and the but that kind of goes back to my slide number whatever 5 on kindness. Like, why does it have to be that way? Why? I mean, I don't. That's my big question. What is the reason for the hate? It's hatred. I mean, let's face it.
So I have my theory on that. My theory is that these guys, the flat Earth, this belief system that they have is really wrapped up into their personality. So when you attack the flat Earth, they take it personally. And I think that's where it comes from. They feel like they're being attacked personally whenever you say the Earth's not flat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? That's 3 years ago. So if you told people that the Earth's not flat, they noticed that all the way back then.
I agree. But the problem and the reason why I've been interested in speaking with him in particular, and actually any so-called surveyor, whether they're licensed or not, that doesn't matter to me. But if they practice or work for surveyors, I'm interested in talking to surveyors that believe the Earth is flat. And so
there will never be a surveyor that believes the Earth is flat. Because they're surveyors. They measure elevation changes. It's ridiculous. Jesse Kozlowski knows that. And that's probably why nobody's ever talked to him.
So he was the only one I could find or, came across with the YouTube channel with him looking through basically the same instrument I have that I use. And it just made me very curious. How is it that you believe the Earth is flat when you have at your disposal the means to show you quite easily that it's not, or that it is? Let's face it. If the Earth is flat, make the measurements and show us that it is. And why, I can't get him to do that. He's not going to do it.
One of the things that you did that I thought was most impressive whenever you came over, which is probably nothing for you, but for a lay person, it was pretty interesting, was when you set up your theodolite to where it was perfectly horizontal and you were looking at 3 Lakeway Center.
Way up. This is 3 years ago. Let's see. Comments are 3 years ago. So, yeah. I don't know whether that would be allowed today.
I was just going to say, was that a flat Earth guy talking? I mean,
No, that's Soundly.
Who's talking about a perfect horizontal?
Yeah.
Perfectly
Soundly
horizontal?
Talking to Jesse. Yeah.
Wow, that's strange.
Yeah. The conversation's developed. since back then.
And I was like, well, how do we know, right, that this is perfectly horizontal? And you were like, here, let me show you. And you like kind of like panned the whole theodolite all the way around.
Right, along the horizon.
Right, and the crosshairs just stayed right the same distance above the horizon the whole way around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Horizontal, parallel to the plane of the horizon. That's what he's saying. Jesse
I'm
Kozlowski.
confused. I have not been in this arena for 3 years. I've, maybe a year and a half, 2 at the most. I thought that was taboo to say shit like that.
It is now, but back then,
wow.
Oh, foolish. Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, all horizontals, as he's just saying there, are parallel with the plane of the horizon. And you can pan it all the way around and notice that. It's an obvious fact, right? And nobody should be denying that. Jesse Kozlowski said it. Soundly saying it. He showed soundly by using the tool to establish a horizontal plane. You want to hear that again?
I can't get him to do that. He's not going to do it.
One of the things that you did that I thought was most impressive whenever you came over, which is probably nothing for you, but for a lay person, it was pretty interesting, was when you set up your theodolite to where it was perfectly horizontal and you were looking at 3 Lakeway Center. And I was like, well, how do we know, right, that this is perfectly horizontal? And you were like, here, let me show you. And you like kind of like panned the whole theodolite all the way around.
Right, along the horizon.
And the crosshairs just stayed right the same distance above the horizon the whole way around.
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, so for me as a layperson, that's an impressive demonstration, right? It's something that you can tangibly see with your own eyes. And then I thought to myself while you were talking to Chris, why doesn't he do something like that? And then how does he explain it, right?
Yeah, why doesn't he just show that the crosshair of the horizontal plane that's being established is parallel to the plane of the horizon all the way around through 360 degrees? Why doesn't Chris show that? Don't know. We have. We've been trying to tell people that all along. Seems like Soundly's saying the same sort of thing with Jesse Kozlowski. Interesting going back over these old videos and listening to the old ways.
Well, he could easily go to the northeast corner of Colorado. There's a boundary marker there. He could set up his level there and look back at the city and look at the mountains. But that's not a picture he'll ever take. He's not going to show that.
Right.
Someone should.
Yeah.
Why is Jesse Kozlowski asking somebody to look at some mountains from the edge of Colorado? Surely he knows that's out of range. Sounds like a wizard at work.
Just level your theodolite and you're looking back and you'll see the horizons below your crosshairs.
And Chris was exclaiming there at the end about how far we can see and we shouldn't be able to see that far. I think it's flipped around the other way. Why don't we see further? Well, there's always a reason. It's pollution and angular resolution and yada yada. But the fact is, we don't see that far. We don't see really far. We don't see 1,000 miles. There's nowhere on this earth that you can look and see 1,000 miles.
Right.
You can't see 500 miles. There's just no place. There is that. I became curious when I made a video a long time ago called Flat Earth Curvature Confusion or something like that. And I showed this place where a guy took pictures at sunset. I forget how far it was, but the point is it was only so far, whatever it was, 300 miles. I don't know. I don't remember, but it's no further. And all this triangulation that has been done The longest lines are about 195 miles, and that's it. In very special cases. So they have it backwards. You have to go and find a unique place where you can see these kinds of distances. Whereas if the Earth were flat, every time you came up on a hill, you should see, for many hundreds of miles in all directions.
He's not being serious, is he? If the Earth
the
were
words right out
flat,
of my
you'd
mouth.
see further. I mean, has anybody ever heard of that argument before from a surveyor?
That we should see 300 miles from the hill.
Yeah.
It is argument, Glauber's argument, that if we were on a flat Earth, a flat plane, we should see from New York to UK, for example. This is very, very old argument. I think it was one of the first arguments.
Yeah.
Both over curvature, and the second, why we don't see for 1,000 miles.
Yeah, I mean, this is 3, possibly closer to 4 years old, this argument. It obviously tells the arguments or the discussions have moved on, but likely to be coming back to these sort of discussions, right? It's not changed much, has it? But they have progressed. We'll carry on.
Right. The unique observations would be something that looks like a globe, but instead what we see is globe, 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 and then some random atmospheric condition which enables us to see something that kind of looks flat. Even in looming conditions, though, Jesse, I've never seen something where you've seen shore to shore for 24 miles.
Not happening. Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. But these spectacular one-off places are usually from one mountain to another.
Right.
So you've got the height and the ability to see really far. And if the atmosphere conditions are clear enough, you can see really far. Otherwise, you're not.
Right.
I went up to Connecticut, looked at New York City from that beach about 50 miles away. Some days you can see New York City, and some days you can't. The day I went, you could almost see it, and I did see the Empire State Building and the World Trade Center. And
Can I just add here that this guy, this isn't surveying. You don't go and look at towns from miles away. This isn't a surveying practice that anybody ever does. Very strange that somebody's portraying this as a surveyor. Non-surveying practice as a surveying sort of procedure. Very strange, but that's why he's not around anymore, isn't it?
I've got video of that. I haven't done anything with it yet, but it's there. So, and and across Lake Pontchartrain, same thing. Isn't it interesting though that they want to see it? We go and we record it and show it to them, and what is it, cognitive dissonance, whatever. It isn't curvature, it's anything but. It's perspective, it's just not curvature.
Mick West calls it perspective compression. That was Mick West that called it that. So I think that might be who Jesse's talking about here. People like Mick West.
They cannot accept it, which is weird. And that's why I thought, okay, go ahead, Chris. Either take some measurements that you're already making. If you don't have the time to go and if you don't have the time to go do this as a test for no other purpose than for doing this as a test, then just look at some of your own measurements.
Do you think Jesse Kozlowski and Chris Van Matra were actually telling each other to go and do tests and thinking that looking at towns and cities from miles away is some sort of a surveying test? Or do you think people have just made up tests? that they want other people to do. Like, go up a mountain with your auto level. Go up a hill. Go on.
Why not with telescope? Telescope is better than auto level to see distant city from the mountain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like
I would take telescope.
Yeah, the crosshair is only in the eyepiece of the telescope or the autolite, the auto level or whatever. It's not miles away. The crosshair is within the device. Doesn't portray the horizontal all the way over there. That's ridiculous for people to think that. And this man's meant to be a surveyor. It's precisely why you don't do this over these distances.
Isn't the reason they're going up the mountain in the first place is to get into a clear air where you can see further? Doesn't that give you the answer to why you can't see further low to the ground, which has nothing to do with Earth curve? Thank you.
Also, you should really be measuring the elevation as you go up. From down at sea level, mean sea level, you measure elevation changes up to the top of the mountain. There is literally no purpose, no reason for you to take a auto level up a mountain to measure elevations. I mean, it's ridiculous. You will never, ever see anybody up a mountain with an auto level. Never. If you do, it'll be somebody ridiculous doing some sort of test because somebody's tried to make a mockery of them to get them up a mountain where nobody's ever done. If you ever see somebody like that, there's people laughing at them.
But let's just get this back into what they were saying. You can't see shore to shore 24 miles at ground level. But if you go up a mountain, you can see 500 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it has something to do with the, what you're looking through. I don't know, just a wild guess of mine.
This is good. You'll enjoy this one today.
It's there. He's got a 1 second robotic total station, and I guarantee you, in 500 feet, he is detecting the inclination of the plumb line at both ends of the line. So he asked me, "What's?"
Did you hear that?
Inclination, yes. Inclination of plumb line.
Yeah.
Chris, either take some measurements that you're already making. If you don't have the time to go and take it, if you don't have the time to go do this as a test for no other purpose than for doing this as a test, then just look at some of your own measurements. It's there. He's got a 1 second robotic total station, and I guarantee you, in 500 feet, he is detecting the inclination of the plumb line at both ends of the line.
You said it again.
Yeah. Well, no, I've rewinded it, right? Because I wanted to get the transcript up here. He says,
sorry.
He says he's got a 1 second robotic total station. And I guarantee you, this is Jesse Kozlowski says this, I guarantee you in 500 feet, not a very great deal, in 500 feet, he is detecting the inclination of the plumb line at both ends of the line.
Wow.
That's 500 feet. Anyone get a quick calculation of 500 feet into the metric?
About 150, 175
it's
meters.
Not a lot, is it?
Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, that's Jesse Kozlowski, the big globe surveyor. And he's just been talking to Chris Van Matra, who is FE Core. And I wonder whether he pulled Jesse up for saying stupid shit. The inclination of a plumb line.
That is so... Oh, wow, so significant. It's unbelievable.
How much is... I bet if this is one of those things... see if you can Google inclination of the plumb line. Because that's amazing. That's amazing.
Quite the surveyor if he can get it at 500 feet.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Who's this
surely
guy?
he should
Where's
be
he at?
showing everybody, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Where is this guy? Who is
Yeah.
he? He should be showing that everywhere. Absolutely. Good luck.
That's amazing. Somebody like, no wonder he's not around much. He's not going to get many contracts like that. I hope nobody's been
Honestly,
employing this man.
I wouldn't have used amazing. I would use fascinating. It is fascinating that this guy can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you've done a job that's 150, 175 meters, right? It's quite large, but I mean, not extraordinarily large. What would you think if you had a surveyor that went, I could tell the difference in the inclination of plumb lines over that distance?
Get off my site.
You're like, you what?
You're fired.
Well done, Jesse. I mean, I bet. Oh, if we go back through all of the stuff, there's gonna be all sorts of stupid stuff that they've said, and I'm hoping there aren't maybe some surveyors listening. I don't know. I'd like to know what their
I've never heard
method
this,
for
honestly.
doing this.
But yeah, I've heard some amazing things already.
So he asked me, what's the purpose of this test? What am I going to do it for? Well, because you're going to find out that the plumb lines at each end of the line are inclined to one another by the same amount. So it's a rate. At 500 feet, you can go 1,000 feet. You know, I don't know if I'm getting off of the point you were had.
You could go 1,000 feet. They'd be inclined to each other. What? By the same amount. Yeah.
By the way,
call it parallel.
By the way, Bev.
Yeah.
So inclination of plumb line.
Yeah.
Yields about a half a dozen answers or in the search tool. And most of them are related to a physics question, I guess. It talks about a plumb line suspended from a ceiling of a car while the car is in motion.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, we did have that. We had that as one of our logical statements. If there's any motion whatsoever, then a plumb line can't be plumb.
Yep.
So, when Jesse says the plumb lines at each end of the line are inclined to one another by the same amount, he might be meaning that they're parallel. But other than that, we'd need to have Jesse to come round and let us know. I've heard of a few people. Blue Marble Science says that he's talked to Jesse Kozlowski. I Can Science That said he had a word with Jesse Kozlowski just quite recently. I think George said he'd had a word with Jesse Kozlowski. Rumpus said he'd had a word with Jesse Kozlowski. And I think Jesse Kozlowski has a close relationship with McToon as well, and Jose. So if any of you guys are listening, before you start up your live stream to start getting triggered about it, see if you can get in touch with Jesse Kozlowski and ask him, what does he mean about the inclination of plumb lines? I don't know why Chris Van Matra didn't ask him. But Jesse, I think Jesse's a bit of a wizard the way he's going about this now, because he's just going to fizzle it off and nobody's going to mention anything. Jesse's making up terms for people to believe in. And I think soundly, poor fella, he's falling for it.
had a question about, but
No, I mean you're on track there. That's the thing. And if he's not willing to actually look at his own measurements and understand them for what they are, the geometry behind them, then you can't really help the guy.
No,
The geometry behind plumb lines with the inclination of them. I wouldn't mind seeing some of that geometry, but nobody seems to be coming forward. There is no globe geometers, strangely enough. They keep running away. Like Jesse Kozlowski says he wants to talk to people about this. Well, we've been trying to talk to him about the surveying procedures, the logic behind them, the geometry behind all of the surveying practices that we use in reality. We understand how it's actually done in reality. What we don't understand is the claims of these guys that are saying inclination of plumb lines and all sorts of weird shit. So if anybody wants to get in touch with Jesse Kozlowski or Stanley, tell him to come over. Well, I'll gladly have a conversation about the geometry of this that Stanley's just claimed that we don't understand. I mean, that was Chris Van Matra, it was 3 years ago, so things have progressed. We've done a little bit of work on level. I'm up for a chat anytime.
Unfortunately.
and I try to say I couldn't put the words together. I'm not the most eloquent speaker, but especially if I get flustered. I was flustered by that. I like friendly relations. I don't like when things go haywire like that. But anyway, at the end, I was trying to speak to his fan base and, literally saying to them, you don't know surveying. But here you have this guy saying he knows surveying, and he's been surveying as nearly as long as I have, and he proclaims the earth is flat. But they would have no way of knowing that he...
I've never really talked to Chris Van Matra. I have, yes. Sleeping Warrior set up a meeting with him where I explained the sort of shared straight line segment principle of the water level. He liked it, but I mean, I've never really seen much of him. It doesn't seem like he's available to talk to. His time was in the past, it seems like Jesse Kozlowski. They're both sort of slipped out of the way. There is no more, there's no globe geometers, there's no flat earth geometers, there's no flat earth surveyors, there's no globe earth surveyors. There's just us living in reality, and it seems to be two sides living in the past. And if anybody does want to come and have a chat with us, we are available. Next Level Discord.
His test, the so-called test he did, shows me that he does not know how to operate his equipment.
I don't know what test he did.
And, he's satisfied with that test. He thinks that test showed us that there is no 8 inches times the mile squared. It's a flaw in the equipment. And I guess that the next thing to conclude is that all of these maps are wrong. That's it. I mean, that's where else are you going to take that,
I don't understand that. He said there's no 8 inches, but all of the maps are wrong. Rather confusing. Wizard trick.
Yeah, it's almost like, does Jesse not understand how land surveying is done?
Yeah.
Because that's how the maps are created, right?
Yeah, there's no 8 inches per mile squared. There's no quadratic function in a horizontal distance.
Nope.
He's talking about projections, like AE projection or globe projection, but this is not a map. This is projection. That's why it is called projection, because it is not a map.
Yeah, I think you'll find some people think that the globe is a map, and it's the only accurate
It is
map.
not.
I know. Yeah, I know. I know it's definitely not, but there are a group of people that some people have convinced that a globe is a map, and it's more accurate than actual 2-scale maps.
That is crazy.
It's very powerful sort of drugs or whatever, manipulation of people's minds. to make them to believe that. But I mean, they're readily accepting of this model. I get it seems like it's been given. It grows.
Yeah. So my question is, whenever he mentions that there's a flaw in the equipment, my question is, why is it always biased in a particular direction?
I've seen other people say that too. That's an interesting point.
You know?
Yeah.
If it is a flaw in your equipment, then can't you just turn your scope upside down and see the opposite problem?
And the fact is,
he's saying that like, and nobody's laughing, and as though it's a serious thing. But Jesse, you notice Jesse's bypassing. He's like not answering that question. He's going somewhere else.
no instrument is made perfectly. Okay.
Mhm.
So recognizing the type of equipment, if it's a level, we operate it a certain way to account for what we recognize as an imperfection in the instrument. And I wanted to discuss that with them, and we didn't get to, but I'll do it now. See this right now? That is a picture of a T2 crosshair, T2 theodolite crosshair aimed out there with the theodolite set to 90 degrees. That is a zenith angle of 90, indicating a horizontal plane. It's not.
It says a zenith angle. That's interesting, that.
Perfect. And no one would claim that it's perfect. This is a photograph taken through a telescope. There's definitely a plus or minus value associated with where that crosshair is. And if I were to plunge the scope and face it in the other direction and turn back on the building, the crosshair would appear just where you see it now.
Right.
But possibly over those 26 miles, it might be, I'm going to guess, 5 feet different.
Right.
Can you see 5 feet in,
24.14 miles.
Yeah, you're not going to. Now,
he's talking about the thickness of the hair when he's talking 5 feet. It's like precisely why you do not do this. Interesting that he's talking to Soundly about a non-surveying practice as though it is. Very interesting.
the other thing that people forget is that we made a lot of measurements that day. And you made some of those measurements, Soundly. Remember,
Yep, I do.
I could not see the red light blinking.
Yep.
And you pointed at those, and we measured to the corners of the building. So we have zenith angles to the top of the building that correspond to the zenith angles measured on the same shore as the building, from when I triangulated the building. So people have to recognize there's a big difference between taking a picture through the crosshair. Surveyors don't we don't do that as part of our daily work.
Right. It's the numbers that matter.
Yeah, it's you're doing measuring, and nobody would even do this type of a measurement. You're not, there's no point to it.
Did you hear it? Did you hear it?
The numbers that matter.
No, but he said nobody would do it.
Nobody does it.
It's not a thing that anybody
yeah,
does. It's not taking pictures through the instruments. Not done. Nobody ever does that. But then he's just said nobody ever measures these angles. You don't do it. There's no point. I'll rewind that because
that's crazy.
This is very but do people hear him? Did anybody hear Jesse Kozlowski when he said this 3 years ago? Because they're still using it as one of their things, as though he did it to mean something.
As part of our daily work.
Right. It's the numbers that matter.
Yeah, it's you're doing measuring, and nobody would even do this type of a measurement. You're not, there's no point to it. We're doing this.
Nobody would even do it. There's no point to it. There is no point to it. He's going to tell you why he is doing it now.
I did this to show, so people could see it. If somebody wanted to, they could take an instrument to that same location and see the same thing. Just the way you've encouraged people, get this photographic equipment, these telescopes, and come here. Come and see it for yourself. But,
not surveying procedure.
The thing that nobody does, huh? Wow.
Come and
You
see
can
it.
just see it. You can just see it. Look
Yeah,
at me.
just
Look
see
at
it.
it. You can see it. It's not surveying. It's not any elevations. It's not anything that you would ever do. Nobody measures these vertical angles to do any sort of surveying procedures because it's inaccurate as hell. Nobody looks over those sort of distances over water through those tools because it's not accurate. You don't do it. There's all sorts of image problems, as you can see.
He's doing this thing as photographer, not as surveyor.
Yeah, he's doing it. He's doing it to convince people like Soundly that something that isn't happening is just that it's happening in Soundly's mind. Jesse knows that he's just taking pictures of this stuff. He's telling him you don't do it. He's just doing it so Soundly can see it. Soundly's convinced something else is occurring.
They went crazy after this. Even Jaron, made comments in my channel, and it was all about perspective. Do you remember that? That's when perspective really took off. I think it could have been there.
When perspective really took off because Jaron was talking. No, they definitely knew about perspective before Jaron said anything. Listen to him. He's a wizard.
There before that, but I don't know.
He doesn't know. Awkward silence.
So the thing that I'd like to bring up, Jesse, is this observation right here, which is I'm actually showing an observation.
This is a video clip that I took through there.
This is a video clip.
Yeah.
Taken through the theodolite. So this is you actually replicating my observation.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're replicating my observation of 3 Lakeway Center, or not 3 Lakeway Center, but Lakeway Center in general.
He's replicating it, meaning he's looking at it because it's Soundly's observation. Soundly looked at it. Jesse's replicating Soundly's observation by looking at it.
Because this is actually 3 Lakeway here. This is 2 Lakeway, and 1 Lakeway. You can see the very tip of it right here.
Yeah.
So this is you replicating my observation. Now, Jose G.C. Gonzalez, a flat earther. And let's look at this real quick.
Wow, that's how long ago it was. Nice
like
one.
Grant.
Yeah. Shout out.
Let's find this actually. Let's go to YouTube and find this real quick. Just so nobody thinks I'm making this up.
Jose JC.
It's Jose Gonzalez, Flat Earth. Let's see if I can find it that way.
Look,
There he is.
yeah.
This is him here. Okay.
Jose Gonzalez.
Jose J.G.
Flat Earth.
Gonzalez. Let's look at his videos.
Oh, look.
And
Flat Earth,
where is
Jose.
it? Where is it? A while back. Here it is. You could even see it in the thumbnail. He's about to zoom in.
Now, what equipment does he have here?
I'm not sure the camera. It's like slightly less. It's pretty close to your theodolite, I think, as far as magnification power.
But I mean,
so
he's
here's
using photographic equipment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right here, it's 3 Lakeway.
Okay.
Here's a flat earther now replicating the observation.
And after he did this, he still maintains the Earth is flat, or did he?
He was sitting on the fence. I think he's still kind of sitting on the fence. We'll see what happens with him. Let's see. I think he actually zooms in a little bit more here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's pretty close to my observations. There's obviously like a reflection going on here.
Rakia, is Soundly ever replicated your observations? I think that's what he was doing.
Which is covering 2 Lakeway and 1 Lakeway.
But just the huts. I mean, you look at the huts. I mean, the huts themselves are curving.
Yeah, of course. Let's go to another flat earther here. Let's go to
the huts.
His name is Johnny Oops.
Who's that?
That it? Johnny Oops? No, I think it's H. I think there's an H in there. Let's see. Johnny Oops. Flat Earth. Here we go. Oh, this is actually my video, me mirroring his video.
Okay.
So I'll be able to find it in here. I'm sure I linked it. Yeah, here's the original. Okay. So here's Johnny Oops' video. Oh, he doesn't have an H. It's an N. Okay. Almost the same exact location. This is the North Shore, Mandeville, Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's speed up. There we go. And look at that. Here's 2 Lakeway here.
Yeah.
Here's 1 Lakeway here. And the tip of, I'm sorry, here's 2. Here's 3 Lakeway. And the tip of 1 Lakeway is somewhere up in here. It's kind of hard to see. I'm not sure if you can actually see it right now.
Maybe not.
Okay. So there's Johnny Oops' observation. Now, Jose Gonzalez and Johnny Oops are both flat earthers. They have both provided globe earth proof right there. You've done it. There's also another guy named Real Everyday whose channel actually got shut down because of something he was doing at some activity with uploading videos or something. He replicated it. We have Dandy Panty, who has replicated my Little Tensas Bayou observations. Oh, and we have Mike the Globetard. Let's see if we can find Mike the Globetard. Mike the Globetard. So it's a hilarious name. I love it. So Mike the Globetard. This is Mike the Globetard's observation. You think this would be mine, right?
Yeah.
But that's his.
That's good.
That's
good
Mike the Globetard's observation there.
26 subscribers.
This is Mike the Globetard's observation of New Orleans. Here's the transmission lines from Mike the Globetard. So we have all these people now that have been out there, including yourself. And let me just go back to the point that you made earlier, Jesse, which was you were actually there. Like we were in your hotel room when I recorded the curvature of the causeway, right? The big one.
Bring that up. Bring it up.
Okay.
Love that shot.
Okay, let me bring that up.
Remember,
let's go
Jesse
to
is a surveyor.
I don't want to lose any of these. I'm just gonna, kind of showing them all at the same time so that people can see what is actually out there. Let's go to my channel. Okay, and this is going to be.
I just want to say one.
It's this one here, right?
The one on the right, or
this one. This is the one where you're talking in the background.
Okay.
If I recall correctly. So you can actually hear, there is a video. If you actually watch this video here, okay, so this was taken from Jesse's hotel room, which Jesse mentioned earlier. If you actually listen in the background, I believe Jesse's significant other is playing the video where Jesse was laughing, which Jesse has refused to let me play. So I have not released that one. I won't release it until Jesse's okay.
Maybe we should do it on this hangout. I'm feeling like it's time. Maybe
you want me to release it? Are you sure?
Why not? You know.
Okay. Well, we'll do it after the
Well, just
hangout.
see-
Let's
yeah,
me and
okay,
you
right.
review it after the
Yeah,
hangout.
yeah,
And then we'll
okay.
just to make
No,
sure that there's no other people in it and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So we were actually in Jesse's hotel room when I took this shot. And we're actually going back there in January, and we're going to be taking this. We're going to be replicating this shot. So the open invitation.
Did they go back? I don't know whether they did. Did he do a revisited? Interesting if they did.
Is, to actually join us on this trip. Now, my wife is not going to appreciate me having other people in my hotel room, but you yourself can get a hotel room in the same hotel. We can all meet up. Any flat earthers that are out there, we can all meet up. I'd be more than happy to meet you. Just show up and we'll be there. So we'll be there in January. 4th through 6th is when I'll be out there. I think, Jesse, you're here from the 3rd to the 7th, if I remember right.
Yeah, something like that. I forget right offhand, but as it gets close, we'll make sure people
know. And special announcement, Red's Rhetoric will also be here during that time.
Awesome.
And perhaps Jared, who will also be here.
Cool.
So Jared's talking about riding with Reds. And so he'll AT2 Productions for anybody that's looking in the chat. He's been around.
So the cool thing about this,
Jared from AT2 Productions. That's the one that I had to send a report in about Twitter today. Shout out AT2 Productions and me having to report your tweets.
Is we now are allowed to use GPS.
Yes, let's go to that topic because you asked him directly, does GPS work?
Yes.
Okay. So what are the implications? What his answer was, yes, GPS does work.
Yes.
What are the implications of that?
Well, the fact is that it's an excellent measuring tool. I can put the theodolite away now. I can just use GPS to do these tests and to do demonstrations and measure things. And what we're going to do in January, some people may have seen I already did this. I mounted the GPS on the vehicle and drove the causeway. And I have a good measurement of the bridge, the surface of the bridge. But it's every 1,400 feet. So it was cool. It's very useful. And I can use it. But what we're going to do in January is we're going to get very, very dense measuring of those humps. I can't wait to ride
I can't wait for that, man.
Humps. We're going to do the north. I only have the northbound lane side when I was there back in, when was I there? In December, right?
Yeah, December.
Yeah. So this time in January, we're going to go and do the northbound and we're going to do the southbound. And we're going to do it maybe every 10 to 25 feet, a nice dense frequency of shots, of locations. I'm also going to probably do it with 2 different types of equipment, 2 different brands. I want to do it with Trimble and with Carlson.
Let's for our UK friendly people, let's say we're going to do this every 3 meters.
Something like that. I'm trying to. One of them I can get operational up to 5 hertz, and if I drive 40 miles an hour, that'll be pretty dense. I'll be really happy with every 50 feet. Every what?
Well, yeah. I mean, the 1,400 feet was already pretty dense. I mean, if we do every 50 feet, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, but what happened was we have.
Wow. So this is before than the one that we know about. Before the hump. Pre-hump. Talking about how he's going to do it. And it sounds like Chris Van Matre has given them permission to be able to do this. That's good of him.
Sounded he was hump hunting right there.
Yeah.
Hunting for the hump.
1 or 2 shots on the humps.
Oh.
Right, exactly.
But
And
this
you don't
time-
know exactly where you are
Yeah.
at that point yet.
This time we're going to have it so dense that you're going to have the
It'll
real
trace
shape.
out the humps.
That's right. So you'll have the real shape of the humps.
Right.
Ooh.
Now
So
there's
50
this set
feet,
of humps.
that's actually 100 measurements over these humps, because I think the humps are about a mile long, if I remember correctly.
Okay. So, and if I can go nice and slow, it'll be even more dense.
Yeah.
So that's what we're aiming for. Now, is there another set of humps? I forget. Further out?
Yeah. Okay. So there's actually let's look at this
Start
picture
talking
that's on the
about the
screen now.
humps.
It's a pretty good spot.
Sound
Kind of tell you what's going on.
obsessed with these
So you
humps.
can see right here on the very right side of the screen.
Yeah.
So this is actually the 4-mile marine hump.
Okay.
That's what they're called. So this is a marine hump. The bigger ones are called spans. So this is a marine span.
Okay.
And then if you go a little further down, this is the bascule, which is basically a marine span with a drawbridge on it.
Okay.
And then there's another. You can actually see a hump in between them. You see this hump here?
Yeah.
So this is a marine hump.
I don't know whether you're listening to this, but it sounds like Jesse's letting him go because he knows soundly loves these humps. He does. There's a whole section whenever you listen to any of these conversations, you hear Jesse say, "Tell us about the humps, Soundly," and then he does this, like where he goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." It does sound like he's it's a bit of a comedy routine, I think.
Hump in between those two big ones. Okay. And then on the other side of this, there's another marine hump. There's one more marine hump on the other side of this bascule. So there's 1, 2, 3 marine humps and 2 big ones, marine span in the bascule.
And just so people, so we're going to have the shape of this thing down, like no problem.
And I'm really excited about the southbound lane too, because that's the straightest lane.
That'll be great. And just so people listening understand, the technique I'll be using is called post-processed kinematic. Kinematic meaning you're moving. We're collecting raw data that gets processed afterward. So it's post-processed. And it's the same technique that is used for hydrographic surveying, where vessels are going out there doing bathymetry, doing depths. It's the same technique that's used in airborne photogrammetry, where aerial, whether it's a helicopter or
bathymetries, like radar scanning downwards. Nothing like that. It's not doing depth. And it's not doing aerial helicopter. He's giving people the wrong impression of what he's doing.
Airplane is flying over a project, usually of large extent, and taking stereo photographs to make topographic maps from. And they have GPS on board as well. And they process that trajectory so that they know where the camera is, during the flight. So it's the exact same technique. So just to, give it some credibility.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. A lot of them say, well, you're just taking pictures. You're not taking measurements. Well, what is a photograph if it's not photogrammetry? I mean, you can obviously measure things in this photograph right here. You can determine if they match up to reality or not.
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, look what Walter Bislin has.
Oh, heck yeah, says Jesse. You can use a photo as photogrammetry. That's not accurate, Jesse. Look at look what Walter Bislin has done with pictures.
It's done with your photographs and other photographs. If you know the dimensions of something, you now have scale, and you're able to do some really good analysis. Oh, how about Chris saying he's done forensic analysis of your pictures? And what did he say? Did you hear that? Did you hear when he said that?
That he's done, yeah, photo forensics, yeah,
on your photographs, and that's why,
that's ridiculous.
that's
That's what they all do. They all use these terms, you know, to try and convince their followers or whoever's listening to them that they know what they're talking about. But whenever you have multiple witnesses in the room looking at it,
yes,
like what in the raw form, while it's like on the computer monitor, not even taking a picture, or not computer monitor, whenever it's on the camera monitor, right?
yeah,
You know, whenever they do that, and you see it in the raw form, I'm not even taking a picture or recording a video yet. You're just looking at it on the monitor through the camera.
exactly.
Like, what can you say about that? You know, it's obviously the authentic, you know, video.
And you know, they say trust your eyes, you know, trust your senses. So, you know, I looked at it, I saw it, and then you recorded it,
Right.
so for other people to see. But you know, I heard Chris mention Rhinex. I was glad to hear him say that.
I don't know.
Oh, look, Mike the Globetard's actually in the chat now. Sweet. Mike, I was just sharing your stuff, man.
So the Rhinex file is just it's an acronym for receiver independent exchange. It's so that all different manufacturers of, you know, every manufacturer has their own unique way of recording the data. And so if you're going to be using different equipment and you want to be able to process that data together, you need a way of doing that. And that's what Rhinex is a translation of their proprietary data format so that you can use different equipment. And it's an ASCII based file. So there's no secret. It's in there. You can see what's going on in the file. And so we're going to get to examine that. And, you know, in due time, we're going to be able to show people what's actually taking place and how that system works. So even though he wants to believe it comes from cell towers, I've always said this. You could say that all you want. Show us how they're doing it.
Right. Show us also how cell towers reach out into remote regions where you're able to get GPS.
Oh, heck yeah. I've done that.
Yeah, I know.
And
I think you specifically brought that up in a video and showed us where you're actually standing.
Oh yeah, I went on a website and looked for no cell service. You know, there's these websites you can go to find ample, you know, where there's coverage. So I looked for remote areas where there is no coverage and found it to be true. Drove out into the New Jersey Pine Barrens where there was zero cell phone coverage. And my GPS is operating fine, and I put a shovel over top of it. The satellites disappear, take the shovel off, they reappear, you know, and I was able to log data there and process vectors to those positions.
Shovel over it.
That you know, I had to go find that area to do that here in Jersey. Go out in Texas. You know, you like, oh my God. I mean, like out in the middle of the ocean, there's no cellular, there's nothing. There's no.
Exactly. I mean, it's hard to believe, but there are still remote regions of the United States.
Sure.
Where there's nothing out there for 100 miles.
Yeah, but your GPS is working perfectly fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's going to be easier for us now because
he doesn't actually say anything though, Jesse. He's very clever. He's a full-on wizard.
We don't have to lug around so much equipment.
Okay.
So that was an interesting hangout with him, and it
was interesting, no doubt.
I was just
I took a lot of notes, so we actually haven't even got to half of them.
Oh, dude, yeah, let's do it if you want to.
Well, I was going to ask you this. He specifically mentioned the Chicago skyline at 60 miles away. Now, this is something that many people have spoken about. We have uncovered like the actual photograph where it was taken from. It wasn't taken from ground level. It wasn't taken from the beach. We know that.
Are you talking about the Nowicki one?
Yeah, of course, Nowicki.
Yeah,
it's a mirage, as Jaron likes to point out over and over again every time he has a video. Which, again, Was it mirage? Was it a mirage? I'm not even sure. It has to be a mirage at that distance, at that height and that distance.
See, I don't know, but what I know, and I didn't really investigate that. I'm more interested in Red Pill World. Have you ever looked at his
Yes,
stuff?
Red Pill World, yeah.
Red Pill World took a theodolite up there and measured 7 arc seconds down to the top of the Sears Tower.
Right.
You know, and that's
Right.
when Brian Mullen
Oh.
made his ramped perspective video.
Right.
Balls out physics number 6.
Right,
And-
because they have to explain the sudden observation that matches a globe.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you know, Chris gives his reason for not wanting to become a licensed surveyor is because he doesn't want to be attacked like Brian was attacked. Brian was not attacked by anybody. I know what he's referring to there. He didn't name any names, and so I won't here either. But nothing like that happened.
I will. Ruhif said it was George Nutsack. Ruhif told us.
There was a meeting of flat earthers, and I cannot remember who it was, but he said to George that he did such a thing to Brian Mullen, and he didn't refuse, actually. He did say something, but actually he didn't refuse directly.
Yeah. It was a conversation that we had with Ruhif, where Ruhif said, yes, it was George. Ruhif said that to us. I've got the video of that, Ruhif saying that. He said he thought it was common knowledge that it was George that did do that. So we can go over that at some other point if anybody wants to have a chat about that. But I mean, that's not what we're doing. It's not why we're here, and it's not what we're doing. And everybody knows what George is like, sort of expected.
And Brian left the scene, this whole scene, for whatever reasons that maybe some people know because they personally know him, but I don't know that he's come out and made any personal statement to this whole community of people that were following him. They are all guessing. Yeah. They are all guessing.
Nobody really knows why he left.
No,
That's
but,
correct.
But they love to martyr, make him a martyr.
Of course, they're going to make him. Yeah.
But you know what? This is the type of thinking, along with all the rest of this non-thinking. This is not critical thinking, and you're going to latch on to these ideas. That's how you will stay a flat earther. You're susceptible. You're not critically thinking, and you're just lumping all these things together. Brian Mullen is doing everyone a disservice by disappearing like that after having such a huge following and making all these claims. You should at least have the decency to explain to people what happened. Let it be known. And maybe he has, and I just don't know about it. But he was.
We should look into this because I don't think it was actually gone over enough. About what actually did happen and why George, and like Jesse says here, it is right. People should know what happened and what went on. So we might go over that one with Ruhif, see whether he can put us in touch with what's going on.
He was in my Facebook group.
If I can,
Go on.
If I can put 2 cents in here, here was a man, family man, had a good job making videos. Video after video, calm, cool, collected, a lot of followers. He was making sense to everyone. Then George calls the license board. Some other things happen, and he stops doing what he does and says, I'm can't afford this, right? So I'm gonna quit. You don't have to. It doesn't matter if you're a flat earther or a bum on the street. You can figure out what happened, right?
Yeah, Cosmic says Brian had a personal life issue. Wife made it clear. I don't know. That'd be good.
I had lengthy exchanges with him. He asked good questions, and I provided him good information, and he would come back after having looked at it. So and then, one day he was gone, and, I never knew why. So no one does.
Jesse used to have long conversations with me. He doesn't anymore. I think he's blocked me.
Except for people that personally know him. But it has nothing to do with anybody calling the board. That's just ridiculous,
it kind of reminds me, it feels a lot like this guy named Tiger Dan. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him or not.
I've heard about him. He tried to recreate try to make a flat Earth map work or something like that, and couldn't. And then, like, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy, Tiger Dan, he was a flat earther. He tried to create a flat Earth map, realized that none of the measurements actually worked, actually converted to a globe earther, and pretty hard conversion too. It like happened fast. It's like, bam. He was like, bam, this is obviously not flat.
Okay.
And then he started this series, which was like 10 reasons the Earth cannot be flat. And he did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 was his last video. 5 out of 10.
Okay.
And that's where it ended. Like, he just disappeared. And what was happening during that entire time when he was creating those videos, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he was just being absolutely thrashed by the flat Earth community.
Yeah.
Like, they were just all over him, like he was Satan incarnate. Wow. And I don't know whatever happened to the guy, but I really wish I could get in contact with him. So if anybody's out there that knows Tiger Dan, knows how I can get in contact with him, I would love to have Tiger Dan on for just an honest, friendly interview.
That would be awesome.
Just to understand, like, with his whole process, like what he went through to make that conversion, because I think that's very important. I think it's important for us to understand how flat earthers wake up and realize that they're being lied to.
It'd be interesting. The same applies to Brian Mullen. I mean,
yeah, and that's did he do a Tiger Dan? That's the question. Did he actually come to the realization that it can't be flat? And now has he like backed away from the scene? And flat earthers are just saying, oh yeah, he's still a flat earther, but he can't do it anymore because of this. Are they making excuses for him, or did he actually convert over? That's
and the other thing is, and if he did convert, if he actually changed his mind about flat Earth, and he saw how people are treated when that happens, I don't blame him for just disappearing.
Exactly.
Like why put yourself through that?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You see what happened?
Yeah, it's to say convert. I mean, isn't that like a religious thing to be able to convert?
Yeah, but they just brought in the other guy, Tiger Dan, and then presumed that's what happened to Brian Mullins.
Flipped it back again.
Oh my goodness. That is scripted 101 right there. If you can't see that, God help you.
Yeah. Yeah, a clever flip-flop substitute.
But you know what? Between him and Chris, Brian Mullen had a whole lot more going on, honestly. In his ability to, in my Facebook group, all of those threads are still back there. They are there. Anybody can look at them.
Right.
So I thought it was, and I was definitely interested in his force to line. He had this whole idea of doing a force to line test, and I think through our exchanges about how that would be possible to be done, because he was going to use total station, he was going to use surveying equipment, and think about it. You're going to create a curved. How are you going to make that thing straight? You will have to go through extraordinary.
This is the bit that we wanted to go to, right? Can you hear aporia occurring? I'll go back a little bit because this is the build up to it.
I think through our exchanges about how that would be possible to be done, because he was going to use total station, he was going to use surveying equipment, and think about it. You're going to create a curved. how are you going to make that thing straight? You will have to go through extraordinary processes and methods to ensure that that mechanism that you're building stays straight. And what comes to mind? LIGO. These LIGO facilities.
Exactly.
There you go. Jesse's got a problem. He's a surveyor, supposedly, and he seems like he's having a problem to do a straight line. He was dancing around aporia, and now he's come to LIGO, because this is where we always go. This is what we were saying. There is a natural progression from the Lake Rakia Bridge there that is sighting over water that everybody knows you shouldn't do, and then relating that to LIGO, the straight. Listen to Jesse.
And I've linked that paper to people to look at. How did you make these tubes straight for 4 kilometers?
Right.
If you didn't go through that process, they would have been curved, and they couldn't have that. So, yeah, pretty cool.
It's actually
what process? They would have been curved. Is he saying that going through the surveying process would make a curve?
It seems so that he did say that.
Did he say that? If they hadn't have gone through this other process. Very interesting to find out what that. I'll go back again just so we can listen to Jesse saying it again.
To ensure that that mechanism that you're building stays straight. And what comes to mind? LIGO. These LIGO facilities.
Exactly.
And I've linked that paper to people to look at. How did you make these tubes straight for 4 kilometers?
Right.
If you didn't go through that process, they would have been curved, and they couldn't have that.
He didn't go through what process? I wonder what process he's talking about. A mystery process. Because surely wouldn't be curved, would they?
Maybe process of drawing new elevation profiles.
Yeah, I think always it's reference to the auto level, which is horizontal. He did just say that earlier. He said the horizontal plane was parallel with the horizon, 360 degrees. Interesting that he thinks like this now.
So, yeah, pretty cool.
It's actually it was actually some precision groundwork and GPS.
That's right.
That's how they did it. Yep. Like they precisely graded. Yeah, they precisely graded the land so that they could build a straight tube, not a level tube, but a
straight, not level.
Straight tube.
Well, certainly they graded the land, but then
4 foot.
Well, yeah, slope.
Yeah, except for the 4 foot slope.
Elevation.
Precisely
change.
besides that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
the same dirt.
I mean, that was that's nowadays, right? This LIGO thing's developed as it does because it goes round in the cycles. But the new Blue Marble science iteration of this particular argument has developed. I like to say we've had our little part to play in it. Us, little group of people here talking about it. SE, Rakia. We've been there. Rakia's been there, took pictures of it, talked to the guys around the place. We know what we've been talking about, but this argument has developed. This is old school. Jesse was the one that started it, I think. He's shown people the plans. So he knows what's going on, but he's talking of the surveying practice and Soundly as well, interestingly enough. Soundly, if you are around and you would like to tell us about the surveying process that's obviously different than the surveying process that we understand to make straights. I mean, can't be like the normal surveying process because, well, I presume they were straight anyway, but I think other people have got different ideas.
Then, of course, they made the concrete forms for the framework that held these tubes. All of that alignment was done extremely precisely, and and that's what they did. So it's interesting.
Extremely precisely. If that you want to know what the different process was, extremely precisely, as Jesse.
Interesting.
Well, it is interesting. I'll tell you why I think it's the most interesting thing about it is you have these flat earthers that are all out there going, we're going to do these laser tests over 40 kilometers.
Yeah.
When you have, of course, you're going to have atmosphere being a problem in that situation. But when you have a 4-kilometer test that is in a pure vacuum tube, it's in a vacuum tube. There is no atmosphere. There's no refraction involved here.
Right.
And what do they have to do? They have to actually engineer the tube so that it accounts for the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't work.
They have to engineer a straight line. Really? So it accounts for the curvature of the Earth. Like what? What's the logical process that's going on in his head that he makes him able to say that? In order to make a straight line, what's it say here? That's involved here, right? And what do they have to do? They have to actually engineer the tube so that it accounts for the curvature of the Earth.
It doesn't make sense, but there are some words put in there. So maybe some people can associate this, but there is no logic in that sentence.
Yeah, how do they engineer a straight line that it accounts for the curvature? I love it. Nice.
Counteract the effect of curvature to go.
Counteract the effect of curvature. So this is another one of those things with little words. Can anybody tell me what the effect of curvature is? Anyone? What effect does curvature have on things?
This kind of sentence is or statements is called, this is not a fallacy, but this is bad wording, and this is called, as I know, soletism or solecism. So, for example, Mr. Johnson is very much married. It doesn't, this very much doesn't make any sense, but the sentence have sense still.
Yeah.
But this is like bad wording, but this is not bad syntax, but bad wording. So he's using associating two things which shouldn't be. Yes, because it's like telling about sound and using colors.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, like a blue noise.
yes, of course you can do it for example, in licentia poetica, but in a strict sense, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, that's what with this, right? I mean, it may just be that they're using it, but I've heard a lot of people say these words, right? The effect of curvature. Well, to me, curvature doesn't affect anything. So it's I don't know what, like Buster calls it a vacuous truth. Well, this is like a vacuous meaning. Whereas you can take it on, you can put whatever meaning you want to whatever you think that might mean. but it actually means nothing. And I don't know whether it's deceiving for people, or I'd say that this is one of those wizard phrases, because people take it on and they
Yes.
put a meaning to it.
Yes, they can remember these words in that context, and maybe they can process their thinking about globe or something like that.
Yeah.
This is like suggestion.
Yeah.
Not telling straightly, but in suggestion.
Yeah. And it's hard to tell whether it is a mix-up or somebody is actively doing this to try and deceive people. It's hard to tell. But it definitely does something, right? Because I've heard loads of people say that. Here we go. Listen.
Exactly.
To build it literally tangent.
Exactly.
You know, so
the most perfect.
They build it literally tangent.
Tangent
Says
to what?
Jesse Kozlowski. Not tangents. Like FE Dogma. Just
laser
one.
test
ever.
has been has been running since the early 2000s.
Have you seen the latest science articles on this, that they're questioning the result? You know, I've always said, you know, it's interesting. I don't know if you want to go into this, but we don't have to. But
no, I mean, I think it's interesting because
Yeah.
you know, I think a lot of people here that are on your side with flat Earth would probably flip flop on the electric universe stuff. So yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, no, not the electric universe stuff, but on the just whether or not they literally detected
Whether or not they
waves.
detected it, yeah.
And you know,
and me and you are on different sides with that, but
Yeah, you need listen to this. They're on different sides, Soundly and Jesse.
I appreciate your opinion on that. Go ahead.
You know, in that case, I'm an observer. I am not a PhD scientist. In this case, I'm someone who I enjoy looking at scientists debate these topics.
Right.
And I can't claim to understand all of it. It's just interesting that there is that conversation, or that there are those questions. So I'm not going to, you know, in this hangout represent that I know that it's this or that, but it interests me and I pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But you know, you do see the same kind of treatment on both sides when someone, you know, people get very personal about it, and I don't see that's. I'm not feeling that. You know, I don't see a need for that. It gets very high school. It's like really petty. You know, it's unnecessary. These are credentialed scientists, and they're reaching different conclusions. And to me, that's what science should be about: is keep asking. Don't why waste?
I mean, that's how science evolves. I mean,
that's how it should.
Keep asking, Jesse says. Even Jesse has a different opinion to Soundly. He's talking about the scientists that are doing the tests at LIGO with the laser beam. They both have differing opinion. Jesse follows the scientists that have differing opinions about what's going on at LIGO and what they're doing there. Jesse says you should keep asking questions of this.
Should be right.
That's how the process works. You know, you come up with a theory or a model. I mean, basically the same thing. That explains the world better than the current one. And when you do that, that's how science gets adopted. You know, that's how it works.
You make models, says Soundly, and when it works better, they just have that. They incorporate it.
Yeah,
as the theory gets refined, it can change over time
if it's allowed. That's the thing. You know, people.
It's allowed. It is.
No, people.
It's allowed.
By whom?
Yeah. By these guys. They allow it. They have acceptable. A few paradoxes here and there. Contradictions. Yeah. Allow it. It's changed. New science. The science of the blue marble is allowable by Townley. He says you're Townley anyway. I hope we can get a chat with Townley. I heard he was back around.
Changed over time.
People lose their positions by not towing the line. I mean, these things happen. And look at what happened to Halton Arp and others. But that's again, you know, I got in my own geodetic Facebook group, I would throw some things like that in there and kind of, you know, I was stirring the pot in the wrong direction, basically, in that group. So someone encouraged me to just start a different group, and I did. So I have a new.
So he had to leave his geodetic surveying Facebook group. They encouraged him to leave his geodetic surveying Facebook group.
A different group called Science Unsettled, and it's, you know, it's
I'm in that group.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad you're in there. It's.
I know I'm kind of the dissenting voice in that group.
Yeah, and you know, so when I share something in there, it's just what I came across, what interested me. I'm not sharing it there to debate people about it. It's like, look at it or don't. You know, it's like, if anything, go to the comment section of that video and have your argument there with those people. You know,
That's the thing. I think that group is actually a very good group on how people can actually have a conversation on different sides of the fence.
It should be,
and it not turn into people hating each other or like despising each other. So that's what I like about that group, because there are people that, you know, believe that LIGO isn't detecting gravity waves. I, of course, believe they are detecting gravity waves, and we have debates in there about that, you know.
Yeah. See, so Jesse, it's all about the waves. One of them think it is, one of them think it isn't, but they all know it's straight. I bet Jesse didn't know about the elevation profiles, the science of the blue marble science elevation profiles of LIGO. If you're out there, Jesse, see what you think about them. They're unique.
And those debates are like civil debates, and people don't, you know, like we could all go to the pub, drink a beer together, and have the same debate and not end up killing each other at the end of the night.
Absolutely. And why not? Because, you know, in that conversation, you'll hear things that you didn't know. Right. And, you know, and again, it's going to go, it's across the board, and it should be that way. The civility, you know, matters to me. It really does. But, you know, I guess some people do like to be on the internet for antagonistic and hostile exchange. And
it does seem like, Jesse, it does seem some people are like that on the internet, just to be hostile and antagonistic. We're not like that here, although a lot of people do come across like that. We try not to do that. We try and just talk openly with anybody that wants to come. So what Jesse's talking about here is the sort of conversation that we would like to have with Jesse Kozlowski. He's the guy that has all of the information about these procedures that he's talking about. We have plenty of questions, and we have our own tests, realizing Euclid. I think we're nearly done on this.
Maybe that's what they like to do, but I'm not having it.
Yeah.
So
I do think there's, I don't know, man. I'm kind of Mick West is that way too. Mick West is all about, you know, pure civility, even when the opponent is just a horrible, you know, lying defamation artist.
Right.
I differ with him on that, because I think there are some people that you can point at and say, this guy is obviously trying to deceive people. He's a horrible person. Like, we should not just tolerate that. Whereas Mick West, I think, would tolerate that for the most part.
I think it takes great skill or some type of restraint, or you got to, you know, I can be set off just as easily as someone else. So,
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and I just,
come back, Jesse.
whatever.
I'll try not to.
Did you
Okay,
have other,
well-
did you have other things on your list from tonight's experience?
Let's see. Not really. The only other, I mean, I had a couple of more things, but I think the only one that's of any significance is when he admitted that GPS works. At that point, you have to ask, well, then why are the distances all wrong on?
Yeah, I think we'll come back to Discord on that. Thank you very much, Soundly, and thank you very much, Jesse. So I think they were sort of saying that Brian Mullen's Forced Line can be compared to LIGO, just being a straight, because that's all it is, really. And Jesse was saying about some special procedure that they needed to do.
Mysterious procedure.
Yeah, he didn't want to get into it, but if he does want to come back, it would be nice for Jesse Kozlowski to let us know what's going on. The Jesse has got left his name around this bridge, and like we say, we do have a blue marble elevation profile. It's just arrived recently, the one with the internal tangent plane. The horizontal internal tangent chord plane, something, I don't know. And then he has done the elevation profile of LIGO also. So how's everyone been? Having a good time? Oh, I see Jesse's in here. Sorry, not Jesse Kozlowski. Jesse Gordon.
I couldn't be him.
Yeah. You have talked to him though, have you?
Yes.
Yes. Jesse Gordon's talked to Jesse Kozlowski recently.
Not super recently.
No. Okay. Well, do you think you'd be able to talk to him and ask him what the super special procedure? Do you know what he was talking about when he said a curve?
I was kind of busy in the text chat.
Because he said, like, if you did it the normal way, you'd make a curve. But,
you mean with CNR turned on with total stations?
Well, I imagine that if you're doing auto level, right, just basic bog standard auto level, right, and if you do double rodding, so you have a shared straight line, and you just keep going, then isn't that extending that horizontal plane?
I thought he said
make a curve, does it?
I thought he said they would be using auto levels or using total stations.
Well, no, he said that they did use GPS.
Okay, well,
go on.
Either way, whether you're using a total station with CNR turned on, or whether you're using an auto level, or either way, it produces a curve if the Earth is curved.
A horizontal plane, it wouldn't be curved, though, would it?
Yeah, but see, when you use an auto level, you're supposed to put it in the middle. That's why it's called differential leveling, because
it's you notice the difference between the levels. That's what you're doing. You're on the vertical. When you measure, you are measuring a difference between the levels of the land. That's why it's called differential leveling. To me, anyway. I mean, as far as I know. I mean, what do you think? What?
I just told you. The technique of doing differential leveling with an auto level would work the same on a curved Earth as it would on a parallel or horizontal Earth.
No, you measure the differences in elevations.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. Let's say you were on a spherical Earth, and you had your auto level set up, and you
This is
shot to one.
Sorry, this is Euclid night.
Oh, sorry, you asked. My apologies for answering.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, this is Euclid night. So, would you be able to show us this geometrically? How this would work?
I'll wait till it's the right night. How's
What
that?
right night?
I'll wait till
Model
Monday.
affliction?
I'll wait till Monday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't be able to replicate this with geometric terms, would you?
Yeah, but I'll do it on Monday. A Monday. I don't know what Monday.
Would you need to curve the x-axis?
Look, man, you asked me a question. I started to answer it. You cut me off. You asked it again. I started to answer again. You cut me off again. I don't really like that game. So, and you said this is Euclid night, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's do it on Monday, on Model Affliction night. And if you want to let me answer, I'll be glad to.
Okay,
But there's no point in me just getting cut off halfway through, okay?
Right, well, I have done a video just recently. I can't remember what I called it again. Was it in the chat?
Oh yeah, there's Friday nights too. Maybe I'll be around Friday night.
Yeah, Free for All Fridays, yeah. Did you see? I haven't. I've got. Let me get. Let me get this video. Shareable link. I've not released this yet. This is. I've just put that video in the chat, guys. I'm gonna click it and play it for the YouTube. It's called "You Cannot Have a Globe If Water Forms a Plane" by I Can Science That. It's just a short video, so I'll play it for these guys.
If water forms a perfect plane, there can be no globe. You cannot have a globe. You cannot have a globe if water forms a plane. You cannot have a globe. I think everybody can agree with that.
Whoa, that's
Yep,
good.
see you later.
You cannot have a globe if water forms a plane.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And if science tells us that the ocean is a globe, science cannot tell us water forms a plane. You cannot have a globe.
Science.
If a water level is a tool that establishes a horizontal plane, poof goes the globe.
Sorry.
Yep. There you go. I'll be releasing that one. Do you agree with that statement by because it's sort of Euclid, right? He says you cannot have a globe if water forms a plane. And a tool called a level establishes a horizontal plane of reference. Would you agree with that statement, Jesse?
Oh, say that again?
You cannot have a globe if water forms a plane.
That seems about right. Because if water formed a plane, then that would a sphere and a plane are exclusive of each other.
Okay. But a level is a tool for establishing a horizontal plane of reference.
And?
But so you would agree with that? That's an agreeable statement. We can.
Well, one point on a plane can be level.
Well, the tool establishes a horizontal plane.
The tool establishes level. You may choose to position a plane at that point, and you may in fact choose to make the level parallel to the plane at that point, but I don't see how a level establishes a plane. A level just establishes level.
Yeah, a horizontal plane, like Jesse said. He was showing soundly. I don't know whether you caught that at the beginning. He was showing soundly, and he wanted soundly to sort of. We went, how do you prove that? And Jesse panned it around 360 degrees and noted that it was parallel to the plane of the horizon. That's
Perfectly.
how he knew it was horizontal. Yeah.
Yeah, perfectly.
And Soundly was like completely convinced. So that's what the level does.
It was 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was. Well, maybe
fair.
4, maybe closer to 4
Yeah.
years than 3.
Yeah.
It has
That
changed.
could make a difference.
It's confusing, isn't it? But I mean, you would agree with the point that you cannot have a globe if water forms a plane. And are we going to go with a level tool establishing a plane?
Sorry, a friend came in.
Yeah.
Was talking to me, and I gotta go.
Okay.
Friend needs help.
All right.
I cut in a while ago,
Yeah.
like 30 seconds ago, to say I feel dinner time coming on.
Yeah. Don't answer that one.
Yeah. Beep beep. See you later, Jesse. Thanks for coming, man. Thanks for being so predictable on when you leave.
That's why that I can science that when he comes with his logical statements like that. It shows how, how they're thinking, how sharp they are when they do this. Because it's correct.
Maybe...
I mean, you can't have it is like a geometric statement, isn't it? You cannot have a globe if water forms a plane. It's quite
pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's Jesse's surveying friend.
From his Facebook group, do you reckon? He might have been in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Because I've heard all geodetic surveyors normally have Facebook groups where they hang out. I'm pretty sure that's what you do, isn't it? I know most brickies have it, at least. It's how ridiculous do you think this is? They may just be really into the geodetic surveying. That, that they have to have Facebook groups as well. I mean, like, it never ends. If you're doing it as a job and you've got your Facebook and then you're doing your hobbies where you go round and do things that you don't even normally do within your surveying, like you're deeply involved in this. Perhaps model afflicted. Can you imagine that? A model afflicted surveyor? Or maybe just a guy who's acting like a surveyor.
On the internet. Because I started asking all the surveyors that I go in their offices, are you a geodetic surveyor? And when they say no, I'm like, I act real disappointed.
Yeah.
Oh.
I am normal surveyor.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we're up for any sort of conversations about this. It would probably be boring for us to talk about this, but like Jesse just showed the logical component to that is behind geometry is the one that gives you these statements. So if you can't have a globe if water forms a plane, then the question is, does water form a plane? Well, if a level tool is a tool for establishing a horizontal plane, then a water level is one of those tools belonging to the family of levels. It seems a bit cut and dry to me. Logically, there is a very natural progression to follow with these statements, and it doesn't even deal with perpendicular or vertical. This is just literally level, plane. Is level a plane?
Yes, and Jesse said that at a point, and at this point it is level, but there is not such a thing like a level point, because points are not level or not level. This is a nonsensical statement, because on water level you have two tubes, so you have at least 2 points. So you cannot say that at a point. This is nonsense.
Yeah, logical fallacy spotted. Whoop whoop.
Yes, points are not level or not level. This is not nonsense, malfunction statement.
Well, while you were going through the video, you missed the whole. I mean, we had that pretty much had that conversation with Jesse in the chat.
Oh, you wasted it.
Yeah, well,
you knew what was coming.
Yeah, he knew it was coming. Yeah, well, interesting. I mean, it's good enough to go through again. I mean, it's interesting, right? So he says, "Tell me then." This is in regards to us putting out definitions of parallel and what did Bloods put a perpendicular. Bloods, what did you put out there? Horizontal. And then Jesse says, Tell me then, why does the McGraw-Hill Dictionary of Scientific and Technical Terms specify that a horizontal plane is only perpendicular to Plumb at a since point? I don't know what a since point is, but maybe that's a typo. And then further, he says, according to McGraw-Hill Dictionary of Scientific and Technical Terms, the quote edges unquote of the horizontal plane aren't level.
Edges of the plane.
Mm-hmm.
A plane does have no edges. What's he talking about?
Well, that's what we.
It states that in a dictionary, does it?
According to, I mean, I don't know. McGraw and Hill are, who knows who McGraw and Hill are, but apparently their scientific and technical terms say the edges of a horizontal plane aren't level.
Scientific. Wow, scientists are putting edges to planes. Putting edges to geometric planes.
Yeah. Then it gets even better, because Jesse comes back and says, well, if you're going to be technical, replying to Mobius, because Mobius says edges aren't planes, right? Of course. He says, well, if you're going to be technical, planes don't have edges. So Jesse's saying that, but yet he's citing a source that apparently says that it does. Okay.
He's getting more technical than the technical source that he's referring to. I love it.
Yeah. And then he says, a plane is a theoretical construct that extends in all directions to infinity. So why are you asking about the edges? This is Jesse replying to Mobius, who was replying to Jesse, talking about edges from his technical dictionary. And then Jesse gets it right. He has a moment of clarity and lucidity. If you're going to be technical, planes don't have edges. A plane is a theoretical construct that extends in all directions to infinity. So why are you asking about the edges?
So he
I just went,
back
wow.
His own source.
Yes. Then he comes back again after Mobius says, so if I were to establish a horizontal plane within prescribed borders, would the edges of that horizontal plane be in the same plane as the horizontal plane making those edges? I mean, Mobius was fantastic, right? It's great. Yeah. So Jesse comes back and says, but please tell me this. Why does McGraw-Hill Dictionary of Scientific and Technical Terms specifically say that a horizontal plane is only parallel to a plumb line at a given location on Earth's surface? Shouldn't it be perpendicular to plumb line at any or all locations on Earth's surface?
Plumb line is only at that one location, right? You can't be referring to a plumb line. Can you?
Well,
like every location where the plumb line is would specify those particular conditions everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't say if somebody else is controlling it over there, then yours won't be with theirs.
I was concerned that there was a problem with understanding perpendicular at that point.
Yeah.
And how a plumb line and a horizontal plane create a perpendicularity. But I don't know.
There is maybe a semantic problem because this point where vertical and horizontal are intersecting, this is one point. Geometrically, it is one point of intersection. So it would mean in Jesse's Gordon logic that this point is also level and vertical. So it doesn't make any sense because you cannot have a point which is vertical and horizontal. It is nonsense again. So I cannot see how could someone resolve that conundrum.
So agreed. I mean, Jesse has a real question here. I think that one of the last questions before you had chatted with him in the VC before he went away is in response to all of those things. I just put in a water level tool is a tool used to create a horizontal plane of reference, and he responds to me by saying, "But will that horizontal plane be parallel to another horizontal plane established 1.5 miles away by another water level?" I think that's like a really good question.
Yeah, well, I mean, is there a way of testing it?
Yeah, right?
Are horizontals parallel? Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Can they even have a horizontal plane on their model? Water can't form a plane. So was he asking, was it parallel?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if he was being kind, as I Can Science That says courteous, or what did he say? Maybe it wasn't courteous. It was something else. Anyway, he may have been granting it to me, right? But he did say that horizontal plane. Will that horizontal plane be parallel to? So I don't know if he's granting that there's a horizontal plane, because that would be a problem.
It would be a problem
Not for me.
I Can Science That.
Yeah.
Looks like I Can Science That is the forefront leader of the science of the blue marble. And Jesse does at least agree with that.
So that's the conversation we went through before before Jesse had to go, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a pity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it would be nice if we had Jesse Kozlowski or maybe even Soundly to come and explain this procedure that they have that do that. I mean, I don't know what they'd think of this new I Can Science That and his science of the blue marble that states a water level cannot be a tool that establishes a plane. Not even just a horizontal plane, it's just any plane. Even if we wanted to put a slope or a tilt to it. He says it can't. His science says it can't anyway. well, I don't know whether it's his science or whether it's just some other model science that he was saying about, but I think he was saying that this science that he says a water level can't be a tool for establishing any plane. And Jesse Kozlowski seems to be saying something about a curve for standard surveying, and they had to employ special surveying practices to be able to do the straight line, which is fantastic. When you think about it, right? Think about how a surveyor or somebody acting like a character that is a surveyor. Some people believe that he is a surveyor. I've heard many people say that they think his character is a believable surveyor for the globe, obviously. If you use a tool called a level to establish a horizontal plane of reference, he thinks it curves. You have to use some special thing to stop it from curving.
I think this special would be normal. Normal procedure of surveying. This would be special in this case.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they imagine it as being a two-dimensional, what I would call a plane, but they seem to think that two-dimensional means something completely different. But that's only a misunderstanding of basic geometrical understanding, and never really being able to progress out of the two-dimensional geometric understanding and working into 3D, which is the actual surveying procedure. I mean, anybody who has done surveying would have to understand the 3D aspect to the surveying principles, you'd think. Or maybe they've just got into it through being a rep for some sort of equipment, not really having an understanding of the actual surveying procedures. I don't know. I don't know what's gone on. There's plenty of questions that we would like to ask Jesse Kozlowski, but I don't think he's going to come back. He's done a, was it a Tiger Dan? Is it? He made a few videos and then he just had to disappear. Can't come and talk to anybody anymore.
He disclaimed himself with this globe map or whatever.
Well, I mean, lots of people, like Jesse Gordon said, lots of people have been talking to Jesse Kozlowski. I think that's what prompted Blue Marble Science to draw his elevation profiles. Interesting ones. Yeah, I'll get them because oh, albums. That one. Oh, and this is the best one. I think he did have Jesse Kozlowski's help for doing this. And I think I might have to update it because he did put the curve into it. And I'm doing shorts at the minute, so we might do a short of Blue Marble stating his new elevation profile thing. Oh, spaghetti science. Do you reckon you could do that with spaghetti? Could you realize a blue marble elevation profile with spaghetti? Spaghetti science.
Cooked spaghetti, probably.
Yeah, this is one of the nights that we don't really have many globe geometers, because they can't really come and communicate their geometry. We do have imaginometry, which is another one of the little gifts I'm getting made at the minute to explain imaginometry and the TIS globe, where TIS globe comes from. Axiom 1 of imaginometry. Always your base starting block. Because if you are struggling, if you're out there, anybody with a model thinking, ooh, this Euclidean geometry seems a bit of a problem. Well, we've made up a geometry for you to basically give you an idea of how a geometry should be formed, with axioms and definitions, postulates. It's fully formed and definitely gives you a way out. I reckon we could probably sell it to people as a geometry that they need. Like, you know, in the globe salesmen of old, like, in order to be able to sell the globe now, you could easily package it with imaginometry. You can answer all of the questions with like a sort of faux geometry. I can't even put those words together. Like a pseudo geometry, if you will. Yeah, they're looking for trolls. I mean, it's not. You see, you can't come into the on the level crew now this time of night of a Euclid night. Sorry, guys. You like to have your little play with people, but this is one of the nights that they can't come and do this. I need to go and have a break for a bit. Anybody want to have a chat about anything? Or do you want us to put a Buster song out? Everyone, yeah, let's put Buster on for a bit. It's only early, isn't it? Right, I'm going to go and do a Buster song for a bit, guys. So I'll be back in a few minutes.
All right, here we go. Okay. Is it a hump or a drop? What do you say? You got to twist your words in every which way, because the motto will always dictate what you do. Everybody knows that you've got the model affliction blues. Is it a straight line or does it curve? Some people unclamp it, but that is absurd. We all know that the model will always dictate what you do. Everybody knows that you are model afflicted blue. Model affliction. It's your addiction. That model affliction. It brings you so much pain. It's your ball and chain. Conflating curvature with elevation change has got your local distance just out of range. That old biggie is gonna dictate everything that you do. And everybody knows that you got the model affliction blue. It's your decision defending the model position. You just don't know the geometric proposition. That old ball, it'll always be illogical to you. That's why perpendicularity is a puzzle to you. Model affliction. It's your addiction. Model affliction. It brings you so much pain. It's your ball and chain.
World famous Buster. And we are back to being live again. I don't know where we're going to go from here, really. I think Mobius was saying that Blue Marble is doing a runner again. Mobius would like to say, I don't know whether he can actually come on, but he's ready for a debate when he's ready, Blue. Don't be pressuring him. He can only do, he's a busy guy. He has a life to do. He's got a job. And he will definitely debate you when he's ready. He can't just fit it in whenever you're ready. Nobody can just drop whatever they're doing and have a discussion about your elevation profiles. So yeah, Mobius is ready for Blue Marble. I've heard that Red's Rhetoric's back, and I'm trying to have a discussion with him. Wally was saying that Red's Rhetoric wanted to talk about flat Earth with me. I don't know what that's about, but I said we could show him the Realizing Euclid test, or we could match him proof for proof, and we'll go and show each other the proof that it's definitely not flat. I was thinking that was going to be good. He might get to go on the Non Sequitur show, which is a really weird name. It's one of those things that we've been doing recently. Can you imagine like a show being called the Non Sequitur show?
What it is about?
It's meant to be a debating thing, but Doesn't really sound like it, does it?
Yes, non sequitur means nonsensical.
Yeah, nothing
rather.
follows, right? You ask a question, you don't get the answer that you're meant to have because it doesn't follow, right? And nothing really strange. So, I mean, that would be one of the things I'd be wanting to ask them about, why they go with something like that. Sounds very contradictory to have a chat show or a debating thing called the non sequitur, but they are very strange times that we live in at the minute. Got that one. That's a good one. Like that. That's Fibonacci in circles and rectangles and triangles. It's very geometric, isn't it? Yeah, Fibonacci. Yeah, so just recently, I don't know whether you saw the video that we did about the plane. I Can Science That has sort of challenged us. It seems like that's what he was saying anyway. He was claiming that he'd been taught by science and that science says that a water level cannot form a plane. But unaware of which science it is, because like I say, I've never heard science say that. Maybe it's just the science of this Discord thing, and I can science that. Maybe the science of the guys that have science in their name. But I don't know. Anybody else got anything that we can do? Because I don't know, I'm feeling a bit out of stuff. I don't know where we're meant to be going, to be honest with you today. It's been a rather strange couple of days recently round these parts. And don't know how long are you around for, Kevin. Can we have an after show where we go over some of the stuff? I'm getting a feeling that there's some more with the Jesse K, but hopefully he might come round. We might end up with somebody to have a discussion about these sort of things with, but getting the impression that nobody really wants to talk to us about this. Not even the FE Core surveyor that used to be around here.
And FE Core surveyors are different from normal surveyors?
Well, they, in the way that they go and talk with Jesse Kozlowski and allow Jesse Kozlowski to be able to use GPS systems, it seems. I don't know. Yeah, Kevin's just got nipped away for a bit. Yeah, I'm not too sure where we take this for tonight. We do have the Realizing Euclid test and the principles to go around it, but it seems like, I think, it's so simple that it needs to be laid out in a way that's a little bit more structured than what I can do talking about this, because I've tried to explain it, and there's only one more way really, is to put it into a logical form for a reason to show the plane, and a reason to go to Euclidean principles in order to find the proof. I think there's a story behind how we came to do the realizing Euclid tests, but that's more to the group of us. The actual test was meant as a mental project, as a mental exercise that I used personally for me to bring me to the position I'm in at the minute. And I don't know what we call it, the end of the dissertation or whatever for the end of the trivium. I think I'm reaching it right now. This is the explaining the realizing Euclid will be my growing up from this trivium stage. And I think from then on in, it is more of a practice to be able to help other people realize their trivium exercise. I personally used geometry to go to the basis of logic to find out the truths that are available within within logic. That's where you find your proofs, by formulating logical statements. And I used geometry to help me find that logic, but since finding logic it gives you a way to use geometry, but the logic is way more useful than the geometry was. The geometry is a delivery tool for logic, but logic is the bullshit detector that will help you way more than anything else ever could. Logic is one of the most helpful tools I think people can have, but it's a double-edged sword really, because once you find logic, you will realize how small a group you now belong to, and how many people are full of fallacies. They're everywhere. And logic will help you spot them.
But logic also can make harsh awakening from beloved dreams. So for some people it is unpleasant, and they don't want to be awake, so they want to dream still, so they are avoiding logic.
Yeah, this I don't want to go into it too much, but finding logic, finding logos, finding the group of people that we are, and finding the conversations that we have has been a awakening process for me. And like I say, I'm waiting to give my final I don't know what it's called. What's it called where you sort of have to present? I know I certain people won't like the realizing Euclid, mainly because of the water level being a tool for establishing a plane, as we explained earlier. But that's the final piece, I think. That statement coming from I can science that. It is the only reply I think I will ever hear. I don't think there is any geometric response to it. Just that.
Yes, but accidentally it is globe killer. Water level.
Well, I mean, that's up to people. I mean, their science may say that it can't be, and they may trust their science more than the finding out what a water level is. Or they may not even trust that. I mean, that may be not the type of science that they're after. They may have a different science. Who knows? This is 2022. People can have all sorts of different sciences, apparently.
According to Michio Kaku and other scientists, it may be Kabbalah or Gnostic science or whatever. I don't know. This very mysterious, but and religious, but not very scientific for me, and completely illogical.
Now we've got this one here, Brad Wagner. If anybody can remember. Brad, this is Brad, the science guy, another guy with science in his name. When I put that video out on Twitter earlier, this is what he said. He said, water doesn't form a plane. Therefore, we can have a globe. Just look at the blue marble photo. You can clearly see water on Earth doesn't form a plane. There you go. That's blue marble. Sorry, the science of blue marble that tells him that it doesn't. Water doesn't form a plane. That's logic. That's globe science. The science of blue marble and the logical process that is derived from that system. It has a geometry, we call it imaginometry, that goes along with it too, and they all back each other in exactly the same way that you would imagine. We were discussing earlier today about where all of this comes from and whether it is a result of I don't know, like a belief of in the truth of self-evident things, as in
if they are really self-evident, because this photo, this is Photoshop photo, so it is not evidence for anything. So we have here example of circular reasoning, but if some people accept that, so I cannot help that. But this is, for me, this is not evidence for anything.
Well, like I Can Science that says, you cannot have a globe if water forms a plane. It's just not possible. Now that's logic. It's a well thought out statement. I'm not so sure it was the type of logic he should have been talking about, really. It's not really fitting with the science of the blue marble using Aristotelian logic. He might be getting told off for that. Yes, flat fact. He says, Quite rightly so. Whilst I have removed certain words from my vocabulary forever, I'm adding in imaginometry. Yes. Means you'll have to have the equipotential angle of adjustment. Dornagon. All of these things. We heard some really good ones the other day. These phrases and things that people use, like angular size. That's a great one. That's learned from around these parts. There was some the other day that we got. Spherical baseline, was it? There was a few of them. Nobody had ever even searched them on the internet. There was zero. I mean, imagine this day and age, you put a few words together and you find 0 hits. That's what we were getting. Go on.
And shorter distance than a straight line. This is also new.
Yeah, that is definitely one. A shorter distance than a straight line. On a plane. Really. That was another guy with science in his name. It does seem like there's some sort of maybe a comedy science. Maybe it, like Blue Marble Science says. They purposely put mistakes into their work so other people can pick up on them. It's like tests.
I can break.
Yeah.
If I can break in here, I'm fixing to pass one of the only places in the world you can see Earth curve with your naked eye.
Nice.
It's the power lines on Lake Pontchartrain. I am passing in front of them right now, going really slow because there's a lot of traffic. And yep. Well, let me confirm. Definitely curved.
Yeah. Wow.
Definitely appears curved with your naked eye. So that is Earth curve confirmed with your naked eye over 18 miles.
Over water, right?
Over water, yeah, of course.
It's one of the only
water.
places you can see this curve with your naked eye. Over water. So that would be you at the high spot, would it?
No, I'm at the end where it meets the interstate. I'm about 20 something feet above the water, looking across the lake, and that power line's about, I think, 16 or 18 miles long, and at a certain point it starts curving down, going over the Earth curve. See it with your naked eye really easily. Everybody fly into New Orleans airport and come see Earth curve.
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. This is their proof, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's one of the best ones because Soundly took a picture.
Yeah, you can see it with your naked eye.
Yeah, they all went up to the hotel. They had the weekend away.
The Marriott.
Yeah, a weekend at the Marriott.
A bunch of grown men in the Marriott behind 2 panes of glass with a telescope with a camera hooked to it, going, "Look, Earth curve."
Getting other men to build them a model of it.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm up for talking about anybody if Soundly is around. I did hear he'd been away for a bit. I'd like to welcome him back. The same goes for Red's Rhetoric and Steve. Is it Steve McRae over there at the Non Sequitur show? Wally. It was that said that he would be able to set up a meeting with us, but I don't think Reds is ready for it yet. I don't think he's learned his flat Earth enough. He didn't seem to like the idea of me not thinking it was flat. It's not flat. Has anybody got anything else to go over? Because I think I'm ready to go call it a day. Is Blue Marble gone live? Have we got anything to go and watch after Blue Marble? Did we manage to trigger him or not? Maybe not.
Let's just wrap it up, and then we can talk about Blue and how triggered he is.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll go into the after show, right? Anybody wants to come into the Discord? All of the stuff that we really want to be talking about, that we obviously can't talk about on live. That's what we'll be talking about in the after show. And there's some juicy stuff that we've got. Obviously, we can't do it all live, and nobody would want to be talking about this stuff that we've got live. So, pop into the Discord. I will just queue up a buster. LIGO and the hump. You don't understand. LIGO and the hump. Thanks for joining on Euclid night. Sorry, it's been a bit of a strange few days. Join us tomorrow. It will be Free for All Friday. Jesse Gordon said he might want to come and talk about his model. He didn't want to talk about it within Euclid night because he knows there are no geometric proofs of the globe model at all. They don't exist. So, thanks for joining, and catch us tomorrow. Free for All Friday, 8 o'clock, usual time. And don't forget, if water forms a plane, then there can be no globe. Take that with you. See you tomorrow.
It's
in it.
Yeah, if you were to put a bubble level on like the intersection of LIGO, that would be level. If you were to walk down the arm and place it on top of that, I would say it would not be level. That would be another good.
So you say at the split point, that's where it's level on both arms?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where they leveled it.
And what are the arms? What are the arms? If the center is level, how do you envision?
No, he said no, not the center. The apex where they both meet.
Oh, the apex.
Yeah, it's different.
So
yeah,
it's changed.
How do you envision the end of the arms then? The other two ends.
They're just gonna go straight, and this is in the engineering.
The end of the arms. At the end, you have the apex, and you have two arms running along, right?
Yeah.
How are they? Are they in the same level as the apex, or how do you envision them? Higher, lower?
So at the ends of the arm, they had to pour more concrete because it was at a higher elevation.
It's not what I asked you. It's not what I asked you. When the job was done, you have your apex, it's level.
Mm-hmm.
Either arm, how are they in relation to the apex?
They're flat. They're straight. They're straight.
Yeah.
Are they also level?
No. They are. They at each spot they are not level. They like if you put a bubble level on the apex and you started moving down the arm, it would get off and more off level.
How? Towards the up or towards the down?
With the bubble level, it would either go left or right.
No, hold on a second. You have a level at the apex, and you have two arms running. And I'm asking, you say they're not level at the ends. So I'm asking you, are they lower than the apex or higher than the apex?
They have a higher elevation than the apex.
So they're higher than, wow.
So the horizontal raises in elevation for you. No, you said it would be higher.
Hold on. The horizontal plane that was established at the apex will diverge from the surface of the Earth. The horizontal plane stays straight, but the level, water starts diverging from the straightness.
What? How do you envision that? You envision level water diverging from straightness?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
How is that possible?
Because level is a curve. And water is level.
That's my model dictates, right?
No,
yeah.
That's just
Absolutely.
reality. But as I was saying, like, if we go back to the straight line test, you would be able to see which one's true. If water is curved, then there will be an angle. If level water is curved, there will be an angle between B, A, and C. If water level is straight, then all of them will be collinear. It's a test.
I don't think there's any possibility of reaching you, bro. I just don't think so.
If we do the test, that would reach me.
At what point is vertical not perpendicular to horizontal?
It always is. Every vertical is perpendicular to its horizontal.
To its horizontal. And
yes.
What is a horizontal?
It's 90 degrees from its vertical, and vertical is defined from the Plumb bob. I wonder if I could do it, because over a short distance, you might be able to use the Autolite app and a water level.
I mean, he obviously doesn't understand what level is.
You don't understand. Hold on.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
I can guarantee you there will be a hump in the middle. If you side across from one side to the other,
just take my word for it, bro.
No, don't take my word for it. Do it. I can guarantee you there will be a hump in the middle. There will be.
I can guarantee there will be a hump in the middle.
There will be.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you there will be a hump in the middle.
Go and speak to anyone. Go up to someone that you know and just say, "Here, mate, is level horizontal?"
Yeah.
And see what he says.
Horizontal, of course, level's horizontal.
Well, there you go then.
With level, especially when you do it on a small scale. Okay, if you're talking about the water level, the horizontal plane that a water level establishes is in the middle of the water level.
You would have to understand what a line is.
You don't understand.
I mean, he obviously doesn't understand what level is.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn.
Hold on.
You're just on your own.
Begging for your model to be
You
real.
would have to understand what a line is.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
So logically it follows then that all perpendiculars to that line
You don't understand.
are parallel to each other.
Yes, I agree.
It also then follows that that line cannot be a curved line or change angle anywhere along the line.
That line, yes. So this straight line we are using cannot bend because it's straight. I agree. That line, yes. So this straight line we are using cannot bend because it's straight. I agree. This straight line we are using cannot bend because it's straight. I agree.
You don't understand.
I mean, he obviously doesn't understand what level is.
You don't understand.
You would have to understand what a line is.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn.
You don't understand.
Just on your own.
You might be able to use the Autolite app and a water level.
No reason, no logic, no wisdom, no worries.
You don't understand.
You're just on your own.
Begging for your model to be
No
real.
reason, no logic, no answers to questions.
You don't understand.
You're just on your own.
Begging for your model to be real.
You know what we call a vertical change? You know when we measure a vertical change.
Yeah, it's an elevation change.
Yeah, a vertical measurement in the vertical.
Yeah, because it's a good approximation of the short distance.
So you're saying the horizontal. being straight would get a measurement from the... Oh, wait a minute. You use a tool called a level that establishes a horizontal, and then from that horizontal you measure a vertical change, don't you?
I'm saying that
you do though, don't you? Right? Do you understand that? Right? You use a tool called a level that establishes a horizontal, and you measure a vertical change from that horizontal. And what do we call that vertical change again?
Elevation change. That's not what I'm saying.
A reference to the horizontal, obviously.
But I'm in reality, like, and that's why I'm thinking of actually doing this test. In reality, specifically say that horizontal is actually not a plane. Your misunderstanding of my model is not my problem. It's up to you to understand it.
You don't understand. Hold on.
You don't understand. I mean, he obviously doesn't understand what level means. It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
I have no problem with you all using the water level to establish a horizontal plane. It will be tangent to the curve of the earth. They would maintain the same elevation. But remember, levels occur.
So then is a vertical angle just a right angle?
Grab a water level, that same water level test, and sight across it. That's it. Anything that is 90 degrees from that plane will be parallel to the vertical that you established at that point. Whenever y'all ask me about surveying, I say, yeah, I'm not an expert. I defer to the experts.
I know, if you'll need to carry on with you carry on, but I don't think it's... I mean, he obviously doesn't understand what level means. He obviously doesn't understand what level means. You don't understand.
Hold on. You don't understand.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
We don't use proof in reality, that's pseudoscience. Or you can use it for math and logic. I don't claim to know anything about surveying.
Have you held a water level? Have you ever held a water level?
Have I held a water level, the tool? No, but it's a pretty simple concept.
Say, they're even so bold over there, you guys. They believe horizontals are parallel.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of proof before? Like real
proof doesn't exist in reality. It only exists in math and theoretics.
With your picture, then. Thank you.
No, I'm not trying to prove anything.
Hold on.
No,
I'm showing you evidence that the Earth is a globe.
Prove stuff.
No, I'm bringing evidence that the Earth is a globe.
Hold on.
Why would I try to prove something? That's pseudoscience. We don't use proof in reality. That's pseudoscience. That's pseudoscience.
Hold on. You don't understand.
I mean, he obviously doesn't understand what level means. It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
My God. 22 years old. They're on the fucking internet talking to people about begging for your model to be real. It's bizarre.
You're just on your own.
Begging for your model to be real.
No logic, no answers to questions.
You don't understand.
You're just on your own.
Begging for your model to be real.
He thinks the zero pressure state in the water is an arc instead of a straight line.
Yeah. I'm not laughing at Tom. I'm laughing at the theoretical conversations. Hey, there's some people who think level is horizontal and they want you all to talk about. And also, yeah, parallel and vertical being 90 degrees from one another. And in math, typically when you establish a horizontal plane, in math, yeah, it's just one horizontal.
Typically.